So we have been doing now the long lecture by Mr. Narad on this riddle of this world, on this riddle of the world. Well, he has systematically developed the whole argument, and he's answering practically point by point all the questions which Savitri's mother had raised. Perhaps he is not only answering what she had asked him, but he is also telling us something more than that. You see, some of the prophetic lines of what is going to happen in the context of Savitri's work in the future, that also he is indicating. So, it's a full answer, and we can roughly divide the whole of his answer into 5 categories. These are the 5 categories in which we can say that he is answering point by point each of these themes, each of these issues in that long lecture. The total number of sentences directly connected with the answer with the Queen is 141, total number of sentences. And the first point which he makes is the necessity of pain. Why in this world pain is necessary? Pain is the hammer of God to sculpt the soul of man. Without pain, inconscience would not get waken up and things would not move. So the necessity of pain is what he is actually hammering into our minds. Don't complain about pain, it is necessary because you are in that state, and feel lucky that due to pain you will be able to make progress. So in that sense, pain is a very good thing, very beneficial thing, very helpful thing. Then, in the same context, pain is not only the soul of man who bears, but it is also borne by the divine himself. He comes here as avatar and makes a mysterious sacrifice and bears the pain of this creation. He bears the pain of this creation. He makes the sacrifice, and the example which he gives, so to say, or the occasion which he uses to explain the mysterious sacrifice of the avatar, the occasion which he uses is the crucifixion of Christ. So there is a long description of the entire crucifixion of Christ, its significance, its importance, and what it is going to achieve. That as if God has to pay debt to man. He has to pay debt to man, and as a result of that, he is there to sacrifice himself, bear the pain, bear the suffering, bear the misery of this creation. That is what the avatar does it, you see. Without that, in fact, the fall of man, Adam and Eve being driven out of Eden, is due to the sin of man. Of course, that sin was necessary. It was necessary that the couple was driven out of the paradise. Otherwise, they would have got stuck where they were. They would not have made progress at all. But in order to now pay the price of their sin, the avatar comes, Christ comes, crucifies himself to absolve mankind from man, from the sin he has committed. So that is a mysterious sacrifice he does. The whole scene is very beautifully described in this particular section. So first, necessity of pain has 21 sentences. Mysterious sacrifice has 32 sentences. Then world redeemer's task. So that is the sacrifice. He has come here, but he has to also redeem the world of its ignorance, of its miserable condition and all that. And he elaborates that point, word Redeemer's task, in 37 sentences. Then he also tells Savitri's mother, the queen, rather man, yes, there is pain. Yes, the word Redeemer also has come here. But man should not take a hasty path. He should not take the Titan's road to achieve what he cannot achieve at this point. In order to do something which is good for him, he should go through the slow process of evolution, because he will not be in a position to bear the load of what is to come here. And therefore, he should not make haste, he should not be kind of possessive of the qualities of heaven. Do not take Titan's path. Do not try to grab heaven and bring it down here. Let it kind of grow in you. That is what is a Titan's path. So there he is describing the whole thing in 35 sentences. And then he explains the occult necessity of the mortal birth. Why soul has chosen this condition of mortality. Soul was happy in its transcendental world. It would have remained happy all the while also. But then it saw a shadow of the truth cast in the inconscience here. And it kind of became curious of that shadow. What is this shadow? Let me see what it is. The soul became curious of that, and then it plunged down into this shadow. I mean, that is the kind of a way of speaking, but unless that plunge takes place, the shadow cannot be lifted up. So it is a functional curiosity, so to say, of the soul taking a plunge into the shadow in order to relieve the shadow. So soul's choice, it is soul's choice. You have chosen this mortal world. You have to undergo through all these things. It is through the process of mortality you will really achieve the thing for which you have taken this mortal birth. You are here to establish truth in the world of falsehood. You are here to establish immortality in the world of death. So this is what you are here for, and the soul has chosen that choice, and the soul is willing to undergo all kinds of difficulties on the path. If it has to bear the anguish, it will bear the anguish. So he is justifying the choice of the soul. So these are the essential 5 points by which Narad is answering the queen's riddle. Why this word is like that? Is it your God? He is answering in all those things in the 141 sentences here. And then, of course, after that, until then, uh, Ashwapati remains quiet. All along, all through, of course, Savitri does not speak even a single word. When she has said, yes, I have chosen, done, finished. When she has said that, she is not going to speak even a single word after that. It is a question between now her parents and the guest. Let them talk out whatever they want to do, you see. And that is what is going to happen, you see. So, the Savitri keeps quiet, but Ashwapati then asks a certain question, an important question, and in response to that, again, Narad replies. Actually, he is not really asking a question. He is rather seeking that the power of truth which is there in Narad's word gets established here. And therefore, he is sort of posing that question, you see. That we shall see later on as we come to that point. But at the moment, his first task is to satisfy the curiosity of the queen. And that is what you have here, you see, in all these things. You see. Satisfy, well, he has really solved the entire the riddle of this world in his whole business, you see, completely, you see. Why all that thing? So, what Shivandu wrote to Maurice Margaret in about 7 or 8 pages there is now running into 141 sentences here through the mouth of Narad, basically. That is a big occasion he has created. Then, so we'll go back to our text and see. So now first point here is now we have already covered last time the necessity of pain. On this one. Now we are moving to the next point, the sacrifice of the divine or the sacrifice of the Purusha, second point. And we are seeing how the ancient mother is striving for the whole thing. Yeah, Narad was saying that men die that man may live and God be born. That is what we have got. Well, in other words, you may say that men are mortal. Men are mortal. But man is immortal. He continues. It's like in the morning there is a flower on the tree, it dies in the evening, but next time again the flower comes up. So the flower, that particular flower may die, but the flowering is a continuous thing. It goes on. The tree flowers are there. Pain is the hand of nature, sculpturing men to greatness. And inspired labor chisels with heavenly cruelty and unwilling mold. Yes, chisels with heavenly cruelty. See, heaven is graciously cruel. Otherwise, we would have got stuck with what we are, you see. It is an act of grace that heaven is cruel to us, you see. Heaven does not become emotional, my child, my this thing, my that thing, etc., like that, because there is a purpose in that thing, and it is sort of seized all the while with that purpose. And unwilling mold, unwilling, obviously, because we are born of our inconscient stuff, nature. It has its own slow pace, but it resists any change, and that is why it is unwilling. Implacable in the passion of the will, lifting the hammers of titanic toil, the demiurges of the universe work. So that is what the demiurges, there is something always in us which prompts us to do something all the while. They shape with giant strokes their own. Their suns are marked with an enormous stamp of fire. Now, this is the beginning of the description of the sacrifice. Their suns are marked with an enormous stamp of fire. Stamp of fire there stands for demiurges. Although the shaping God's tremendous touch is torture unbearable to mortal nerves, the fiery spirit grows in strength within and feels a joy in every titan pang. So maybe our outward nature suffers and grumbles and cries and weeps and all that thing, but not the spirit within. Not the spirit within. The fiery spirit grows within. That is the important thing. The fiery spirit grows within. By the hammer of God, it grows. You see.
Is this now physical pain or psychological pain? Or
because of pain. Because of this hammer of God.
Is this physical pain?
Yeah.
You're talking about physical pain.
Yeah.
Or mental pain.
No, no. It is very anguish within us.
So it's mental pain.
Yeah.
Not physical.
Not necessarily. Physical, mental is a small manner thing, you see. No. That is really nothing. It is within See, we feel inwardly sorrow, happy, unhappy, you see, within it. It is that which grows.
So this is mental.
It is not mental alone. It is not mental, it's not battle, it's not physical pain. No, no. It is the spirit itself, the soul itself sort of feels sorry, happy, unhappy about this thing. But in that process it grows. It grows. By that process it grows. The fiery spirit grows in strength within. The soul becomes stronger. The soul becomes stronger. If there is an attack, well, if it can bear the attack, if it can fight it out, it really grows stronger, you see, in that process. It is the soul which grows, the spirit which grows, and feels a joy, obviously. Because it grows, therefore there is joy. Because it feels the growth possible, he has joy of it. Essentially, it is the spirit which grows. In other words, our outward nature may suffer. Outward nature made of everything, the physical, the mental, the vital, and all that thing, that may suffer, and it does suffer. But within, there is something which grows. And it grows, and in that growth, it feels joy also. So, that is the kind of an introduction to the sacrifice the avatar is going to make. You see, he who would save himself lives bare and calm. Well, of course, the avatar who comes here and takes the human birth, the mortal birth, he who takes the mortal birth, you can say that, of course, he is not speaking specifically about Christ, but the later context would say that this he refers to Christ. This he refers to. He who would save himself lives bare and calm. Of course, in the immediate context, this he stands for Savitri. In the immediate context, that he stands for Savitri. Yes, she has to suffer. She has to bear the agony of the death of her husband. But she will always remain calm. She has to remain calm. In the immediate context of the story, that he stands for she. He who would save the race must share its pain. Now, this is more generalized, you see. It is not for himself that he is bearing the pain. He is bearing it for the sake of the race, to save the race. He is bearing that pain, the suffering, not for himself, but for the sake. He who would save the race must share its pain. Obviously, unless you participate in the suffering of man, how can that suffering be redeemed? Does the divine suffer when he takes the mortal birth? Yes, of course he does, although he is divine, because he has identified himself with the mortal birth. He has to experience the anguish of the mortality. He has to do. This he shall know who obeys that grandiose urge. Obviously, because there is an urge, therefore he suffers, doesn't mind. The great who came to save the suffering world and rescue out of time's shadow the law must pass beneath the yoke of grief and pain. They are caught by the wheel that they had hoped to break. On their shoulders they must bear man's load of fate. So this is what the Redeemer, the divine who comes here to sacrifice, to pay the debt of man, he has to do that thing. And the great, now he says the great. In fact, Buddha is there, Christ is there. They are the great. Avatars are there. They have suffered. Actually, Shivandu writes in one of his letters that he is doing a work which is difficult and painful. He wrote in 1912 in a letter to Motilal Roy that the work which he is doing is a difficult and painful work. Painful work. He has to bear, that is the greatness. He has to bear the things. And of course, on the Samadhi, we have the message now to the who has been the material for master, who bore all pain, all difficulties, all suffering for us. She is addressing to Shivandu's body there, who suffered for us, who willed everything for us. It is for him. Suffered. We have no idea. We have really no idea the opposite aspect. They are even the great who came to save the suffering world and rescue out of time, shadow, and the law of mortality. The law of mortality, time, shadow. Time, shadow is a very beautiful phrase. Perhaps it looks more beautiful if it is put in the Sanskrit. Kala, chaya. Chaya means shadow. Kala, time. Kala, chaya. He is a being, Kala, and his shadow is there. Kala, chaya. And the law here opposes the law of death, the inexorable law of mortality. That is what is. He has to rescue out of that thing. He has to bear that thing, you see. And he says, must pass by the yoke of grief and pain. So Savitri, if she is great, she can't escape that. If she wants to save the race, she can't escape that. They are caught by the wheel that they had hoped to break. On their shoulders they must bear man's load of fate. Of course, he speaks here of the shoulders they must bear man's load of fate. It is the cross which he has to bear and carry it on his shoulders. He has to carry that cross on his shoulders. Heavy cross.